space for grandkid and truly.
Have space. And
I agree.
One day when your kids...
Kody Brown didn't rebuild a relationship. He restructured his assets. The truth behind that Truly's room storyline will make your jaw drop. In a twist no one asked for, season 20 of Sister Wives has Kody Brown suddenly discovering that he has a daughter named Truly. Her name, once a rare utterance over 19 seasons, is now rolling off his tongue with the urgency of a man auditioning for Father of the Year. The timing, of course, is suspiciously perfect, just as the family's financial and legal messes start converging. The supposed concern for Truly's comfort and a dedicated room in Kody and Robin's ever-expanding real estate portfolio reeks less of paternal devotion and more of courtroom strategy.
Why isn't it your fault if you have a bad relationship with your children?
After years of emotional absenteeism, this newfound fixation on fatherhood conveniently aligns with what appears to be an expensive reckoning in family court. The most logical explanation? A judge likely reminded Kody that child support doesn't evaporate just because his interest in the child did.
I've been making every payment on this house.
Robin's sudden willingness to accommodate Truly, if one can even call it that, is no less performative. Her language betrays her indifference, referring to the original 13 as your children and fumbling any pretense of unity. The only real motivation for having Truly under her roof seems financial. Every night that girl sleeps under her roof is another dollar potentially redirected from child support into Robin's ever-expanding collection of sentimental porcelain nightmares.
But that's the plan, I guess, right?
I was like, aren't we buying it together?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the property timeline reads like a case study in manipulation disguised as homeownership. From Coyote Pass to the McMansion to the laughably named Ego Manor, each sale, purchase, and trust arrangement appears calibrated not for family stability, but for asset protection. By October 2024, Kody and Robin were filming affectionate cameos about deep waters while finalizing the purchase of a $2.1 million property through a trust, a move conveniently shielded from child support claims. 2 weeks later, Christine publicly labeled him a deadbeat dad. The sequence of events speaks louder than any reality TV confessional ever could.
The math of the situation is as transparent as it is pathetic.
The less Kody appears to owe, the more comfortably Robin can nest in her palace of delusion. Their behavior suggests not a rekindled father-daughter bond, but a cost-cutting maneuver, thinly veiled as emotional growth. If Kody can claim to house Truly, even occasionally, he can likely shave a few digits off the support payments. The irony, of course, is that in all their televised moralizing about family, neither Kody nor Robin has demonstrated even the most basic hospitality toward Truly. When she visited, she was awkwardly shuffled into Solomon's room, because apparently Robin's other 5 bedrooms, including Ariella's spacious one, were unavailable. The unspoken message? Truly's comfort ranks somewhere below Robin's home decor.
You ready to go see our new house?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's telling that Truly seems far happier in Christine's household with David, away from the performative chaos. Kody's selective parenting and Robin's thinly disguised hostility have long revealed the same truth. This isn't a love story or a family tragedy. It's a PR campaign with children as props. Now, as Kody and Robin posture about making space for Truly, one can only marvel at their audacity. The space they're really making is financial, ensuring that while Truly grows up emotionally secure elsewhere, her father and his 4th wife can keep living comfortably behind the facade of concern.
I don't have anywhere to live right now, so I'm going to do this trailer. I'm going to try to make it happen.
In short, this isn't co-parenting. It's accounting, with a side of performance art.
They say McKelty ran from her family. But what if she finally ran toward her freedom?
Tony McKelty are headed to North Carolina and
Few things unite the Sister Wives audience like a good relocation scandal. McKelty Brown Padron's latest move has ignited exactly that. Half the observers crying attention-seeking, the other half applauding her for finally carving out an adult identity in a family allergic to quiet decisions. Let's begin with the accusation that this is an attention move.
Well, it's 4 hours from here.
Supposedly, uprooting toddlers, household, and business to live 4 hours away from the nearest family constitutes a desperate bid for relevance. Because nothing screams, "look at me," quite like packing up a moving truck and chasing chess masters who already exist, helpfully, on YouTube. The irony is rich. If Mykelti truly craved the spotlight, she could have saved herself the U-Haul deposit and started a live stream instead.
There goes all of my help, to be honest. Aspen and Mykelti.
What seems far more plausible is that she's extricating herself from the exhausting role of Brown family middle manager. Conveniently, the moment she steps away, Christine finally hauls Cody into court over child support, a task that had apparently been waiting for someone to vacate the role of familial peacekeeper.
For me, it's the chess capital of the US. I'm someone who works in chess, makes content.
Tony's career, a chess coach and content creator, provides a practical rationale for the move, though cynics can't resist picturing him as the next Bobby Fischer, complete with a bemused audience promising to eat that hat from the commitment ceremony should he achieve Grandmaster glory. Yet, setting sarcasm aside, it's a legitimate profession, and frankly, one that requires far less public drama than the family's televised lifestyle.
Just because we live so far apart, I'm very proud.
Relocation with small children is no small feat, and the decision reflects maturity more than manipulation. Mykelti is prioritizing her marriage, her children, and her sanity, all endangered species in the Brown household ecosystem.
But you're going to be 8 hours away from the majority of your family.
4 hours away from cousins may not qualify as next door, but it's infinitely closer than the double-digit hours separating most siblings scattered across the American Southwest. There's also a symbolic element at play. Leaving one's home base can be an act of quiet rebellion, a refusal to remain the emotional glue in a fractured dynasty. Even if she circles back one day, the act of leaving is powerful. It signals growth, independence, and a deliberate break from being defined by parental chaos.
I really want to talk to them about moving back to Utah.
And while Christine's long-held dream of having her children clustered in Utah may not be coming to fruition, the truth is blunt. Mykelti's life is no longer her mother's wish list. She's a grown woman, married, with children and bills and agency. Her choices no longer need to orbit anyone's emotional convenience. The verdict? Not attention-seeking, not reckless. Simply a woman stepping out of the family fog to live on her own terms, miles from the cameras, the drama, and the self-proclaimed patriarch still convinced the world spins on his command. Everyone calls Cody the villain. But what if the real manipulator has been hiding behind the tears all along? Robin Brown's language always gives her away. In this week's episode, she once again drew a sharp, possessive line with her words.
Space for your kids to be able to...
I just want enough room for our kids to have space. And one day when your kids... That tiny shift in pronouns speaks volumes. Our kids are, of course, Sol and Ari, her biological children with Cody, and by extension, the trio she imported from her previous marriage. But your kids? Those are the others. The ones she inherited but never truly accepted. The ones who, despite growing up under her roof, graduating, marrying, and building families of their own, remain outsiders in her carefully curated household. Even the house rules underline that division. The now infamous refrigerator note instructed the original Brown children to ask permission before eating. Permission for food, in a home their father financed, stocked, and ostensibly shared. It was a policy so miserly that it would make Ebenezer Scrooge blush. Her justification? Her kids had special dietary needs. The subtext? The rest weren't special enough. That petty tyranny over snacks may seem trivial, but it speaks to something darker. A fundamental coldness that has long defined Robin's approach to motherhood and stepfamily dynamics. The woman who claims to embody empathy and unity somehow manages to treat her stepchildren like intruders at a private resort. Her house, her fridge, her rules, her children. Everyone else merely visits, and preferably knocks first. The contrast to the other wives could not be starker. They bent sacrificed, and reshaped themselves to make the plural marriage function. Robin, however, arrived with her own playbook and insisted the rest of the family conform.
So Robin was like, we should do it over Zoom.
She refused to participate in the group traditions that defined the Browns for decades, instead carving out her own exclusive enclave, complete with a nanny, of course, to manage her sensitive brood.
We have been doing everything on the list for quarantine.
The result was a splintered household where affection and access were rationed like government commodities.
My obligation is to my minor children.
Cody, naturally, played along. Together, the pair crafted a hierarchy in which Robin's 5 were better kids, more obedient, more deserving, more beloved. The others? Too loud, too independent, too unwilling to worship at the altar of Coyote Pass. Their disrespect became the justification for their exile. It's a dynamic as hypocritical as it is unchristian. Two adults preaching unity while openly demonstrating contempt for half their family. Truly, Brown's plight captures the cruelty of it all.
I bought a house. I've gotten into school.
Her father's attention has been traded for square footage and sob stories, leaving her with little more than the moral support of her mother, David, and the extended family that actually shows up.
This dollhouse has been my dream forever since.
Meanwhile, Robin's doll collection enjoys more space and reverence than Truly herself.
And maybe it's because Robin is the only one that he really is with anymore.
And yet, in the face of all this calculated exclusion, the older children have shown remarkable restraint. They've lived the coldness we've only seen in edited clips. They've endured the rejection, the favoritism, and the steady rewriting of family history designed to portray them and their mothers as villains.
Away from everyone.
Wife.
The fact that they haven't gone public in full scorched earth fashion is less a reflection of Robin's success and more a testament to their decency, something conspicuously absent in the woman who calls herself the obedient wife.
All of a sudden I got like this kickback. We got voted off the Brown family island.
So when Robin laments being kicked off the Brown family island, let's be clear. She didn't get pushed off. She seized the island, built a privacy fence around it, and then complained about being lonely.
How's my sweetie?
And as for Cody, the ever-faithful enabler, one can only marvel at his performance.
There's adult children at Robin's house.
The man could have extended a single kind word to a struggling son, a single gesture of compassion to a neglected child. Instead, he chose to circle his wagons around a woman whose refrigerator policy reads like a metaphor for her soul. Locked, cold, and always needing permission to enter.
Everyone's busy celebrating Christine's glow up, but no one wants to talk about her darker side.
And just say, you guys, what the heck?
At long last, the glow around Christine Brown's heroic escape seems to be dimming, ever so slightly, under the harsh light of reality. As the narrative of Saint Christine, liberated wife of the century, begins to fray, a more complicated picture emerges. One where Christine, for all her bravery and resilience, bears a striking resemblance to the very man she fled.
And McKelty and Tony were just sad that they weren't able to see Cody and Robin and the kids before they moved.
Christine's recent outrage over McKelty and the grandkids relocating has drawn attention to a rather inconvenient hypocrisy. After all, this is the same woman who, according to daughter Gwendolyn, believes that once her children turn 18, it's time to pack their bags and face the world alone. It's an oddly familiar philosophy, the kind Cody used to justify emotional neglect, but apparently less offensive when delivered with Christine's signature grin and a casserole. This contradiction isn't new. Longtime viewers will recall Christine once saying outright that 18 was the cutoff point for her household. It shocked audiences then, and it still does now. Parenthood, after all, doesn't magically expire when the law declares a child an adult. For many, that kind of abrupt independence feels more like abandonment than empowerment.
I am in the depths of frustration.
Still, Christine's complexity shouldn't be flattened into villainy. She can simultaneously be a victim of a destructive marriage and a flawed mother with her own emotional blind spots. Being abused by a system that rewards male ego and female submission doesn't absolve her of perpetuating the same cold detachment she once suffered. What it does reveal, though, is how generational and systemic dysfunctions thrive long after someone escapes. Her actions since leaving Cody reflect this tension perfectly.
That she's kind of leading Truly into blowing it off.
The awkward way she told Truly about the divorce.
And our kids are just going to have to get used to it.
The offhanded declaration to her kids that they'd simply need to get over her new romance with David. The sharpness in tone this season that seems more brittle than bold. None of it erases the courage it took to leave, but it does expose the emotional immaturity left behind by years in a stunted cult-like family structure.
So if I suggest something to David, I want to do this, but I never did anything.
Even David's teasing remark, joking that Cody never did anything for her, so now she has a husband who will, lands with an uncomfortable edge. Was it playful? Or was it a glimpse of another dynamic waiting to repeat itself under the guise of affection? Christine's mean streak, as some have called it, didn't suddenly appear. It's simply less hidden now that she no longer has to play the plucky, long-suffering wife for public sympathy. And perhaps that's the most honest version of her yet. Unvarnished, petty, wounded, and real.
I just don't think polygamy is good for everyone. It was.
In truth, nearly every woman on Sister Wives bears the scars of emotional adolescence. Christine's just happens to be the most visible. Married young, molded by a faith that prized obedience over growth, then thrust into national scrutiny, it's no wonder she's equal parts survivor and saboteur.
And everybody else is just going to catch up on their own time. You're okay with David?
The paradox of Christine Brown is this. She can be both exhausting and admirable, both hypocritical and human. Her liberation doesn't make her a saint, it makes her unfinished. And in that messiness, bitter, brave, and occasionally self-contradictory, lies the most authentic chapter of her story yet. Christine Brown doesn't hate North Carolina. She hates that her family chose it over her.
And drive cross-country because we are moving Isabel permanently to North Carolina.
Christine Brown's disdain for North Carolina is becoming almost theatrical, an oddly specific vendetta against a state that's guilty of little more than existing several time zones away from her grandchildren. The offense? Beaches, Appalachian charm, and an apparently thriving chess scene. Truly unforgivable.
There's nothing that can prepare you to say goodbye.
The real issue, of course, isn't geography. It's loss. Christine's tirades about North Carolina have far less to do with humidity or barbecue and everything to do with her children relocating. For someone who finally carved out a home in Utah after years of unwanted moves, courtesy of Cody's whims and Robin's influence, it must feel like a cruel twist of irony that her children are now the ones packing the boxes.
And I always thought that we'd be able to build businesses.
Utah was always Christine's emotional anchor, the place she dreamed of returning to after the chaos of plural marriage and cross-state relocations. Having fought to reclaim that home, she's now watching her adult children scatter.
We can finally move forward because we can buy this land in North Carolina.
Particularly toward Janelle and Maddie's expanding North Carolina homestead. The sting isn't just about distance, it's about displacement.
Being a mom is my most important thing.
Christine built her identity on being the family's nurturer, the maternal center of gravity. Seeing her kids choose to orbit elsewhere must feel like losing a role she once performed with near-religious devotion. The situation evokes a certain sympathy.
She's really nervous. This is hard.
The ache of an emptying nest is universal, and Christine's emotions are valid. But her bitterness toward an entire state, particularly one as objectively pleasant as North Carolina, comes across as misplaced and a touch unbecoming. After all, it's not as though Utah's cultural homogeneity and Mormon moral surveillance make it the most enticing alternative. Her comments may have been partly facetious, but they also expose a lingering frustration.
And then Gwendolyn, Isabel, and Truly and I went to North Carolina.
Christine finally feels free to live authentically, yet her family's gravitational pull has shifted eastward. Meanwhile, Janelle and Maddie's dream of communal land in North Carolina carries an echo of the family unity Christine once craved in Coyote Pass, but never achieved. It's a subtle reminder that while Christine may have escaped polygamy, she's still wrestling with the fallout of being left behind. This time, not by a husband, but by her own children.
Because you're staying with me in North Carolina for 10 days.
Perhaps, in time, she'll trade indignation for adaptation. After all, real liberation isn't just about leaving a marriage. It's about learning not to resent the places your loved ones choose to call home. And given how picturesque North Carolina is, one suspects Christine's eventual reluctant vacation home there is less a matter of if than when. Robin Brown didn't just misspeak when she said, "your kids." She revealed exactly how she's always seen the rest of the Browns. Robin Brown's habit of rewriting the word family to fit her mood has long been one of Sister Wives' most enduring ironies. But her latest linguistic slip,
Space for your kids,
the one where our kids suddenly became your kids while speaking to Cody, was more revealing than any of her tearful monologues. In one breath, she envisioned space for our kids, and in the next, she hoped your kids might one day come around. The distinction wasn't accidental. It was a quiet confession. Robin has always drawn a line between her household and everyone else's. She simply stopped pretending not to.
Have space and
I agree.
one day when your kids...
It happened more than once in the episode. On the couch, again in conversation, the "your kids" phrasing returned, neatly separating the 5 biological children of other women from her own carefully curated unit. Yet somehow, this is the same woman who weeps about the family not coming together on Coyote Pass, a family she no longer even linguistically claims. Her rhetoric about unity rings especially hollow when her actions and words betray such sharp divisions. Even more striking is her selective generosity with space. Robin's doll collection, those porcelain stand-ins for affection, apparently deserve their own room, while Truly Brown, a living child, does not.
I think Truly would come and stay if she had a space that was her own.
When Cody optimistically suggests Truly might visit if she had her own room, Robin's verbal agreement is betrayed by what looks suspiciously like an eye roll. Perhaps she's tired of pretending she cares whether Truly visits. The audience certainly is tired of pretending to believe it. And of course, the logistics of housing are never just logistics for Robin. They're negotiations disguised as moral dilemmas.
To drive down our street and come home and see houses or whatever being built out there.
Her supposed resistance to Cody's latest grand relocation plan feels like déjà vu from the Flagstaff rental debacle, when her need for a 6-bedroom home just happened to secure her a mansion. The pattern is predictable. Feigned reluctance followed by conveniently upgraded living conditions. The moral lesson? Nothing says frugal mother of 5 like a new luxury property.
The irony deepens when Cody, ever the unreliable narrator, lets the truth slip. Let's find a new house you love. Robin, aware that the script must show her as humble and self-sacrificing, immediately corrects him. Find a house that I love? Me? Before forcing him to rephrase it as a house we both love. The damage, of course, is already done. The subtext is clear. This move is hers. The decision already made off camera, and the rest is theater for the viewers. Meanwhile, Truly's absence from their home mirrors a deeper emotional truth. Christine's book makes it clear. Truly doesn't want to visit, and one can hardly blame her. The room with no access to the main house says it all. It's hard to feel welcome when one's presence is literally walled off. Then comes the convenient timing. This all unfolds just before Christine sues Cody for child support, during which he briefly entertained the idea of a paternity test. Because nothing says paternal devotion like questioning your own daughter's DNA to save a few dollars. As for Robin, her transformation since the plural marriage imploded has been striking. Gone are the trembling tears, the martyrdom, the endless lamentations about being excluded. In their place stands a woman who no longer bothers to perform empathy for children she never truly considered hers. The "your kids" phrasing wasn't a mistake. It was a window into how she's always viewed them. The crocodile tears about her own children's exclusion now seem especially hollow, considering she was the one who built the walls. And perhaps the final clue was there all along, written not in dialogue but in refrigerator ink. The infamous household note instructing the older kids not to eat in her home without permission. No scene of maternal unity could ever erase that message. Robin Brown didn't just draw boundaries. She labeled them, laminated them, and hung them on the fridge. He lost his son, ignored his daughter's tears, and still thinks he's the victim. There is a particular kind of heartbreak that comes from watching the Brown children cry. Not performative tears, not the kind that play well for the cameras, but the gut-level grief of children who have been perpetually let down by the man meant to protect them. Seeing Madison break down in the latest episode evokes the same painful flashbacks of Garrison and Gabe, voices trembling as they beg their father for basic connection, and of Isabel weeping when he refused to attend her surgery. It recalls Gwendolyn quietly confessing she wanted Ariella to have the father she never did. One by one, the Brown children have cried on camera, and the pattern is inescapable. Every tear traces back to the same man who still refuses to look in the mirror.
It's been a few weeks since Garrison passed.
Even after tragedy struck, after losing a child to suicide, Cody remains locked in the same cold performance. One might assume that such a devastating loss would shake a father into humility, or at least remorse. Instead, the aftermath has been business as usual. No outreach to the older children, no compassion, no change. Months after the funeral, Janelle's kids remain isolated, and Robin's household continues its self-imposed quarantine from the rest of the family. It appears that even death couldn't thaw the ice in Cody Brown's heart. The juxtaposition is almost cinematic in its cruelty. On one side, his surviving children cry for connection and understanding. On the other, Cody speaks bitterly of being denied resolution because it must happen on their terms. The irony is staggering. The man who abandoned his children emotionally now demands they meet his conditions for reconciliation. The same father who once sermonized endlessly in living rooms about faith, family, and unity can't seem to muster even the most basic gesture of fatherhood when it counts. Madison's tears cut especially deep because she has long mirrored her mother Janelle's pragmatism. Steady, composed, the family's emotional ballast. Yet grief stripped that armor away. Losing her brother and watching her parents' marriage implode left her exposed to the full weight of abandonment. This is the moment when a father should step in with comfort, reassurance, or even the hollow platitudes he used to spout about eternal togetherness. But Cody offered nothing. His silence was louder than any sermon he ever gave. And then, of course, comes his latest grievance. That Madison supposedly told Janelle he had never really loved her. The wounded narcissism here is almost impressive. Any man with an ounce of emotional intelligence would understand that a child, especially one close to her mother, might share such a remark. But Cody doesn't operate on logic. He operates on ego.
I have a relationship through my wife with the children.
Rather than acknowledging the obvious loyalty his children have toward the parent who actually raised them, he brands their honesty as gossip. It's remarkable how little Cody understands about the family dynamic he created. In a plural household where a father divides his time among multiple homes, the children naturally anchor themselves to their mothers. Most men would take pride in that devotion. Cody takes offense.
People are making an effort to mitigate.
His demand for unconditional obedience extends even to the offspring he's neglected. Children who, despite everything, would forgive him in an instant if he simply admitted his failures. But he won't. Apology requires self-awareness, and that is one virtue Cody Brown has never possessed.
The final insult comes when Madison, ever the peacemaker, suggests she played a part in the estrangement. She didn't. No child, adult or otherwise, is responsible for maintaining the relationship their parent refused to nurture. Cody's job was simple. Show up, love them, make amends when he failed. Instead, he weaponized pride and wrapped it in self-pity.
Well, the state of my family is anarchy right now.
The result is a family shattered not by polygamy itself, but by the man who demanded its loyalty and gave nothing in return.
Oh, that's just tacky.
That's weird.
While his children cry for the father they deserved, Cody is too busy lamenting the lack of respect and fantasizing about concubines who might worship Robin appropriately. It's not just bad fatherhood. It's emotional dereliction of duty. Cody Brown didn't just lose a son. He lost his entire family. And the tragedy is, he still doesn't realize it was his own doing. This isn't gossip, it's grief with receipts. Subscribe if you get it.